If you clicked on this video to listen to another ranter make another video and another rant about how terrible Mary Sue's are, you're in the wrong place. Exit the video immediately. If you came here to learn something about Mary Sue's and get updated on whether Mary Sue's actually still exist, and whether or not Mary Sue's as we know them actually exist, and whether or not in today's art community these types of characters are being made, stay tuned for what's next. Before we dive right into the video that I prepared for you guys, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to go explaining the entire history of Mary Sue and where she came from and how we got to the Mary Sue that we now know and love today. However, if you would like that type of information, I want to suggest this video made by Overly Sarcastic Productions. They go over all the things that you need to know about where the original Mary Sue came from and all the different varieties of Mary Sues that we now have. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty parts of what is a Mary Sue and what isn't, then I strongly suggest you go check out this video. It's linked on the screen and in the description below. However, if you want a more slow-paced, explainy type video to watch, you can also check out Yo-Yo's video about Mary Sue's. Now, Yo-Yo covers topics a bit more broad and the idea of how Mary Sue's, as they currently are, or we perceive are, no longer exist, or they're no longer being made, and the type of demographic that makes them and why we shouldn't be attacking those types of people. So, if you want to get the background behind Mary Sue's, then those are the videos that you need to be watching. So, without further ado, here's my take on Mary Sue's. I don't want to sit here and give you blatant examples of parody characters, joke characters, or some Mary Sue that was made post-2010 by somebody under the age of 13. I think it's pointless. First off, anything older than 2 years, the artist has already improved dramatically and has no doubt created more solid characters since then. So put those out. We can't even consider old characters anymore because it's just beating a dead horse. Instead of any of that, I've decided that I'm going to take my characters. Yes, my personal characters, from my very first to my most recent, and break down whether or not my characters are Mary Sue's. The reason being, I'm going to prove that any character, standalone, without a backstory, can technically be a Mary Sue. Now, first off, what you have to realize, when you start to do the actual research as to what a Mary Sue is considered, the spectrum is huge. I went through dozens of videos about Mary Sue's, and trust me, there's a lot. And I compiled a list of the most commonly mentioned things and traits, personalities, designs that make a Mary Sue. I've compiled a list, we're going to go through them now, then we're going to look at some of my characters and see how many of these traits they carry. So, what makes a Mary Sue? Plain and unoriginal. So, if it's not a creative design, quote-unquote, you're a Mary Sue. Perfect characters. So if you're quote-unquote perfect, you're a Mary Sue. Flaws work in their favor. Okay, hold the phone. Really quick. Sometimes we're all flawed. We all have flaws, we all do flawed things. But sometimes these do work in our favor. A classic example of a flaw working in a character's favor is clumsiness. Let's say we have a female character who has a clumsy trait, and you often see this in anime. You know, the character is running down a busy street, probably late for something, and she falls, trips on something, maybe nothing, and she drops her book. Or she bumps into her love interest on the way there, he picks up her books and is all kind and loves her instantly, love at first sight. That kind of ordeal. A dark past. Okay, so what we're basically saying is anti-heroes, villains, they all class as Mary Sue's. Good, got it. Good at everything. Okay, so by that standard, Sebastian from Black Butler is a Mary Sue. Got it. Okay, superpowers, so Superman, Spider-Man, Mary Sue's. Got it. Super weak. I'm super weak. Does that make me a Mary Sue? Too unique. Okay. So, you can't be too, vanilla, or you're not creative enough. You put some more creativity in your character. But if they're too unique, they're a Mary Sue. Got it. Tragic backstory. Okay, some people, their lives really suck, okay? And if they decide to make a character with a really shitty life, apparently that makes them a Mary Sue. Overused and common backstories. Guys, there's only so many ways a character can live out their life. Yeah, okay. There are a lot of variations, but I mean, just because the story's common doesn't mean that makes the character a Mary Sue. Most of us are average people doing average things, living average lives with average jobs. That's the common story. Apparently that makes us all Mary Sues. The Sue is the center of his or her world. Okay. This is actually the only point on the entire list that I agree with, because that is what makes a Mary Sue. The Mary Sue has to be the center of the entire story with no help from outside cast. That's actually a Mary Sue trait. That is the one and only thing that actually makes a Mary Sue. And of course, the most common one, especially if you drop a self-insert or something into an already created universe or fandom, everybody loves them. All the characters instantly love them for no reason, whether they're enemies or fans or whatever. They instantly love them. So apparently that's what makes a Mary Sue in today's day and age. It's a broad spectrum. We can all agree it's a broad spectrum, but yeah, there it is. Oh, and apparently I have a little side note here that they're never challenged, so I guess that kind of goes with good with everything. Everything comes easy for them, or whatever. Anyway, so let's take a few of my characters and see how many of these traits actually apply to them, because I don't think that my characters are going to pass this test. So let's start with my logo and mascot here on the channel, Deltora. This is actually my oldest OC. And you're seeing her reference sheet on the screen now. So, named Deltora, obviously. Markings, we have dark red rings up the legs. Yep. So, she's just a red and blue dragon. Blue eyes with a scar on her left eye. So, yeah, that's edgy, I guess. So, I guess I'm not very unique. I'm plain and unoriginal. So, yep, Mary Sue. She's 251 years old, so now you know where my username comes from. But, yeah, that nothing to do with age or anything like that, so we're all good there. Dislikes smelly things, laziness, things that enter her lair without permission. So, is that, tragic? No. Okay, cool. It's not a dark past. Yep, that's great. Yep, definitely not a Mary Sue, except my dislikes are pretty obvious that everybody would probably dislike those things, so probably a Mary Sue. Scars. Across her left eye, she was wounded by a male dragon while defending her hatchlings. Okay, yep, tragic backstory. Yeah, definitely a Mary Sue. Gender, female. By some standards, that automatically makes her a Mary Sue. Not on our list, though. Likes hunting, spending time with her hatchlings, and exploring. Don't we all? Don't all dragons enjoy those things, except maybe spending time with their hatchlings? Deltora is family-oriented, so she gives a lot of attention to her hatchlings. Is that a Mary Sue trait? I mean, attached to your kids? Maybe not, who knows? And her favorite gemstone is a sapphire. That actually has to do with me, because I am born in September, and therefore that's my birthstone. So, yep, I guess Deltora is a self-insert. That might make her a Mary Sue too. So, according to all this, my character is 100% a Mary Sue. That's what we've concluded there. 110% a Mary Sue. So, next, let's have a look at Joshine. Joshine is a relevant character that I use from time to time. So, named Joshine, he's male, he's 12 years old. So, in terms of being a wolf, he's fairly old. And he likes silence, personal space, and protecting others. So, that's great. I don't think that goes against maybe Dark Past. No, definitely not. Nope, we're all good. So, markings. Patches around his eyes, black muzzle, long whips along his tail, black paws, circles, markings on his hind quarter, and on his front legs. So, yep, in terms of perhaps wolf characters, he's very unoriginal and plain. Black and white variation, so Mary Sue, or Gary Sue in this case. What else? We have Bonus, ashamed of his new red eyes. He keeps them closed most of the time. So, since I don't have a backstory written out here, Joshine had an accident where he was in a fight and he had his eyes damaged, and he made a deal with a dragon so that he could have, you know, new eyes so he could see again, but of course he has dragon eyes, and the particular dragon that he made his deal with had red eyes. Tragic backstory. Mary Sue. So, he dislikes crowds, ignorance, and cruelty. So, ignorance and cruelty are probably obvious ones, but crowds, so he's kind of, I guess in terms of some DeviantArt reviewers, he likes silence, personal space, and he doesn't like crowds, so he's kind of edgy, I guess. Yeah. Definitely a Mary Sue by those standards. How about a character that I recently designed? The pup of my other Wolf OC, Reggie, Jessie. So, we have the personality is witty, opinionated, friendly, sly, irresponsible, competitive, and perceptive. So he's got, let's see, 1, maybe 2 good traits. 1, 2, 3, 4 bad traits, and maybe 1 or 2 neutral traits there, depending on what you consider each one to be. So he's not an overly balanced character. That would make him a Mary Sue. The design is pretty basic. He's mostly one color with a bit of white, some rings on his tail, and a bit of gray, bit of white. So yeah, pretty plain. That makes him a Mary Sue. He likes going on long hunting trips, exploring new places, and impressing. Yeah, Del Toro can read. Impressing his pack mates. So he's a bit of a show-off. He likes to explore and expand his territory, and he likes going on long hunting trips. So, you know, yep, okay, he's not overly original. Basic wolf. He wants to be a great hunter, just like his mom. So that probably categorizes as good at everything. Maybe he's a bit unoriginal still. Yeah, pretty unoriginal. And he wears dog tags with mom and dad engraved on them. So, kind of cute. But overall, probably a Gary Sue, according to this criteria. He doesn't have a tragic backstory, and he certainly isn't good at everything, but, you know, he's just so unoriginal, he has to be a Gary Sue. So, basically, what we're coming down to here is any character in a standalone situation, like any of the characters we just looked at. Their reference sheets, very little of their backstory. They're all Mary Sues. But, like I said already in this video, the only thing that I think makes a Mary Sue is that she is the center, or he is the center, of their world. Whether it's a world that they've been dropped into or a world you've created. Every good character needs a supporting cast. Every good character makes mistakes, and every good character fails. It's ridiculous for me to sit here and go through each of my characters and point out all the Mary Sue traits. Especially just looking at the ref sheets. They all are. But, are they really? Probably not. You probably noticed that the majority of this video was also satire. Now, this is the common excuse among OC reviewers when they are defending their critiques, saying that it was mostly jokes and whatnot. However, that's not what a critique is. Not completely their fault, however, because the broad spectrum of criteria that makes a Mary Sue or a bad character is simply too broad. Now, I would like to give you an example of exactly what I'm talking about so you can better understand it. On the screen right now is a picture of my cat Luna taking a nap in her bed, quote unquote. Now, the rule of the house is that Luna has to have her nap on her bed. However, how much of the cat had to be on the bed was never specified. Therefore, the cat leaves the bare minimum amount of her body in the bed and puts the rest of herself on the couch, where she wants to be. Now, this applies to our situation because we have this huge spectrum of qualities and characteristics and backstories that make up a Mary Sue, but we only have to have a very small, limited portion in order for someone to call our character a Mary Sue. Your character could be a very plain and innocent character with an excellent backstory. However, because they're plain and unoriginal, somebody, more specifically a critiquer or OC reviewer, may consider it a Mary Sue. Is this fair? Absolutely not, but it's the current system that we're dealing with. Is this outdated system defining Mary Sues and Gary Sues going to be going anywhere anytime soon? Absolutely not. Not until we as the art community decide that we're going to discard it completely because, hey, it's outdated, it's useless, and every character falls into some part of its criteria. So if you take absolutely nothing else from this entire video, whether it be the satire or the actual facts, here's what you take. Stop being afraid that your characters are Mary Sues. Stop being afraid you're going to make a Mary Sue. Create sparkle dogs. Create rainbow characters. Create characters that are absolutely extremes. Do what you love. Mary Sue doesn't exist. Stop accusing people for having Mary Sues and Gary Sues. We're moving on. When you leave this video, you're moving on. Leave the idea behind you. It's over. Mary Sue does not exist. Wow, that video was long. Kill me. Thanks for watching another video, guys. Check out this other great video if you want. Videos come out every single Saturday. Shout out to the channels that I mentioned already earlier. Go check out those videos I recommended and subscribe to these channels. They're really awesome. As always, guys, have a wonderful day and see you guys next time.